What if laziness is not your real problem? What if your mind has simply learned to trick you? Almost everyone has experienced those moments when they know exactly what they should do, yet they keep delaying it for no clear reason. You may have important goals, exciting dreams, and a long list of tasks, but instead of taking action, you find yourself scrolling through your phone, watching videos, or promising yourself that you'll start tomorrow. If this sounds familiar, you are not alone. The good news is that the problem may not be a lack of willpower, it may simply be the way your brain is designed to work. In The Mind's Deception, How to Make Yourself Work When Laziness Takes Over, we explore the hidden psychological patterns that lead to procrastination and inactivity. This audiobook explains why your brain naturally seeks comfort, avoids discomfort, and often chooses short-term pleasure over long-term success. But more importantly, it shows that you are not trapped by these habits. By understanding how your mind works, you can learn practical strategies to overcome procrastination, build discipline, and make steady progress toward your goals. Throughout this audiobook, we will discover 5 powerful ideas that can completely change the way you approach work and productivity. You will learn why the brain postpones important tasks, why getting started is often the hardest part, how discipline is stronger than motivation, how to eliminate distractions, and how to turn productivity into a lasting habit. Each chapter offers simple principles that anyone can apply, no matter their age, experience, or profession. You don't need to become a different person, you simply need to work with your mind instead of against it. Before we begin, please take a moment to support the channel. If you enjoy audiobook summaries that help you grow, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support allows us to continue creating valuable content for people who want to improve their lives. Now, take a deep breath, open your mind, and let's begin discovering how to stop fighting your brain and start using it to build the life you truly want. Chapter 1: Why does the mind postpone tasks? Have you ever promised yourself that you would start an important task today, only to find yourself doing something completely different? Maybe you checked your phone for just a minute, watched a few videos, or decided to begin tomorrow instead. Many people believe this happens because they are lazy. But this book offers a different explanation. The problem is often not laziness, it is the way the human mind naturally works. Our brains are designed to protect us, save energy, and avoid discomfort whenever possible. Understanding this simple truth is the first step toward overcoming procrastination. One of the biggest reasons we delay important tasks is that the brain prefers immediate comfort over future rewards. If you have the choice between relaxing on the couch now or working hard for a goal that may take months to achieve, your brain will often choose the easier option. This is because the reward of comfort is available immediately, while the reward of success feels distant and uncertain. The brain naturally gives more value to what it can enjoy today than to what it might receive in the future. This is why starting a difficult task often feels harder than it really is. Fear also plays a powerful role in procrastination. Sometimes we delay our work not because we do not care, but because we care too much. We may fear failure, criticism, or making mistakes. We may worry that our work will not be good enough or that we will disappoint ourselves or others. Instead of facing these uncomfortable feelings, the mind chooses avoidance. It convinces us that waiting until tomorrow will somehow make the task easier. In reality, the fear remains, and the task becomes even more stressful as time passes. Another important lesson is that procrastination does not mean you are a lazy person. Laziness is often seen as a personality trait, but procrastination is usually a behavior that can be changed. A hard-working person can procrastinate, just as a successful person can struggle with motivation. Delaying a task simply means that something inside your mind is creating resistance. Once you understand that resistance, you can begin to manage it instead of blaming yourself. This shift in thinking removes unnecessary guilt and opens the door to positive change. The good news is that the mind can be trained. Just because your brain prefers comfort today does not mean you must always follow its first impulse. Every time you choose to begin a task instead of delaying it, you teach your brain a new pattern. Over time, taking action becomes easier and more natural. Small victories build confidence, and confidence makes future action less difficult. The goal is not to fight your mind with force, but to understand how it works and gently guide it toward better habits. The main lesson of this chapter is simple but powerful. Procrastination is not proof that you are lazy or incapable. It is often the result of a brain that prefers immediate comfort, fears uncertainty, and tries to avoid discomfort. Once you understand these hidden patterns, you stop seeing yourself as the problem. Instead, you begin to work with your mind rather than against it. That understanding is the first step toward building discipline, taking consistent action, and creating the future you truly want. Chapter 2: The Trick of Getting Started. Have you ever noticed that the hardest part of any task is often not the work itself, but simply getting started? You may spend hours thinking about writing a report, exercising, studying, or cleaning your room, yet once you finally begin, the task usually feels much easier than you expected. This is one of the biggest tricks your mind plays on you. Before you start, your brain makes the task seem larger, more difficult, and more exhausting than it really is. The first few minutes often feel like climbing a steep hill, but once you reach the top, moving forward becomes much easier. The book explains that the first 5 minutes are often the most important part of any task. During these first moments, your brain is deciding whether to continue or return to comfort. If you can simply begin, even without feeling motivated, you create momentum. That momentum helps your mind shift from resistance to action. Many people wait until they feel ready, but the truth is that readiness usually comes after you start, not before. Action creates motivation far more often than motivation creates action. One of the simplest and most effective ideas in this chapter is the rule of start small. Instead of telling yourself to study for 3 hours, promise yourself that you will study for just 5 minutes. Instead of planning a long workout, begin with one simple exercise. Instead of writing an entire chapter, write one paragraph. Small beginnings remove the pressure that makes your brain resist. Once you complete the first small step, continuing becomes much easier because your mind is already engaged in the task. Another powerful strategy is making the beginning as easy as possible. The more difficult the first step feels, the more likely your brain is to avoid it. Prepare your workspace before you need it. Place your book on the desk, lay out your exercise clothes, or open the document you plan to work on. Remove anything that creates unnecessary effort. When starting becomes simple, your brain has fewer excuses to delay. Success often depends more on reducing friction than on increasing willpower. It is also important to stop expecting perfect beginnings. Many people postpone action because they want the perfect mood, the perfect plan, or the perfect moment. But perfection is another trick of the mind. Progress always begins with imperfect action. Your first attempt may not be your best, and that is completely normal. Every successful project, every great achievement, and every new habit begins with one small, imperfect step. What matters is not how perfectly you start, but that you choose to start. The main lesson of this chapter is clear: the beginning is often the hardest part, but it is also the most important. Your mind naturally resists large and difficult tasks, but it struggles much less with small and simple actions. By starting with just a few minutes, making the first step easy, and letting go of perfection, you overcome the brain's resistance and build momentum. Remember, success does not begin with giant leaps. It begins with one small action that is easy enough to take today. Before we continue this audiobook, don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe. Chapter 3: Build discipline instead of waiting for motivation. Many people believe they need to feel motivated before they can take action. They wait for the perfect mood, the right amount of energy, or a sudden burst of inspiration. But motivation is like the weather, it changes from day to day. Some mornings you wake up excited and ready to work. Other days you feel tired, distracted, or simply not interested. If your progress depends only on motivation, your results will always be inconsistent. This is why the most successful people do not wait to feel inspired. They build discipline, and discipline keeps them moving even when motivation disappears. The book explains that motivation is a wonderful way to begin, but it is not strong enough to carry you through a long journey. Imagine trying to climb a mountain. At the beginning, excitement gives you energy, but after hours of climbing, excitement alone is no longer enough. You continue because you made a commitment to reach the top. The same is true for any important goal. Whether you want to learn a new skill, improve your health, or build a successful career, there will be days when you do not feel like working. Discipline allows you to continue anyway, one step at a time. Successful people understand that habits are more powerful than emotions. Instead of asking themselves, "Do I feel like doing this today?" they ask, "Is this part of the person I want to become?" They repeat small actions until those actions become part of their daily routine. Reading a few pages, exercising for a short time, writing one page, or practicing a skill every day may seem small, but these actions slowly shape their identity. They stop relying on temporary feelings and begin relying on consistent habits that guide them automatically. Daily commitment becomes especially important during difficult days. Anyone can work when they feel excited and confident. The real test comes when life becomes stressful, when progress seems slow, or when nothing feels easy. These are the moments that build true discipline. Even if you can only do a little, doing something is always better than doing nothing. A small step on a bad day keeps your habit alive and reminds your mind that giving up is not an option. It is also important to understand that discipline does not mean being perfect. Everyone misses a day, makes mistakes, or loses focus from time to time. The difference is that disciplined people do not allow one bad day to become a bad week or a bad month. They forgive themselves, return to their routine, and continue moving forward. They understand that long-term success is built through consistency, not perfection. Every time they start again, they become mentally stronger. The main lesson of this chapter is simple but life-changing: do not wait for motivation to change your life. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays with you. By building small daily habits, keeping your commitments even on difficult days, and returning to your routine whenever you fall behind, you create a system that supports your goals every day. In the end, success belongs not to the people who always feel motivated, but to those who keep moving forward, one disciplined step at a time. Chapter 4: Defeating Distractions and Mastering Your Focus. One of the biggest challenges in today's world is not a lack of time, it is a lack of focus. Every day, our attention is pulled in dozens of different directions. A single notification, a message, or a quick visit to social media can interrupt our work without us even noticing. We often tell ourselves that we will check our phone for only a minute, but that minute quickly becomes 10 or 20. Before long, we have forgotten what we were supposed to be doing. The mind naturally follows what is easy and entertaining, which is why distractions have become one of the biggest obstacles to productivity. Phones and social media are designed to capture your attention for as long as possible. Every notification, video, and endless stream of new content gives your brain a small feeling of reward. Over time, your mind becomes used to these quick rewards and begins to lose patience with tasks that require deep thinking and concentration. This does not mean technology is bad. It simply means that if you do not control your devices, they will begin to control your time. Every unnecessary interruption makes it harder for your brain to return to the task you were working on. One of the best ways to improve focus is to create an environment that supports success. Instead of depending only on willpower, make your surroundings work in your favor. Keep your phone out of reach while you work, turn off unnecessary notifications, and prepare a clean and quiet workspace. Place the tools you need close to you and remove anything that may distract your attention. When your environment encourages concentration, your mind spends less energy fighting distractions and more energy completing meaningful work. Another helpful technique is to work in short periods of complete focus. Instead of trying to stay productive for several hours without a break, choose a period of focused work, such as 25 or 30 minutes, and give the task your full attention. During that time, avoid checking messages or switching between different activities. When the session ends, take a short break before starting again. This simple method helps your brain stay fresh and makes difficult tasks feel much more manageable. It is also important to train your attention just as you would train a muscle. At first, staying focused may feel difficult because your mind is used to constant interruptions. But every time you resist the urge to check your phone or leave your task, you strengthen your ability to concentrate. Day after day, your focus becomes stronger, and working for longer periods begins to feel natural. Like any skill, concentration improves through regular practice and patience. The main lesson of this chapter is simple but powerful: focus is not something you find, it is something you protect. By reducing digital distractions, designing an environment that supports productivity, and practicing simple focus techniques every day, you can take back control of your attention. When you control where your focus goes, you also begin to control your time, your habits, and ultimately the direction of your life. Chapter 5: How to Make Achievement a Permanent Habit. One of the most important secrets to long-term success is turning action into a habit. Many people are able to start something new with excitement, but very few are able to continue it over time. At the beginning, motivation feels strong, and everything seems easy. But as days pass, that excitement slowly fades. This is where most people stop. The real difference between successful people and others is not in how they start, but in how they continue, even when the initial energy disappears. One powerful way to build consistency is to reward yourself after completing a task. The human brain responds strongly to rewards. When you complete a task and give yourself a small, healthy reward, your mind begins to connect action with satisfaction. This makes it more likely that you will repeat the behavior in the future. Rewards do not need to be big. Even small things like taking a short break, enjoying a moment of relaxation, or acknowledging your progress can help your brain associate effort with positive feelings. Another key method is tracking your progress every day. When you can see your progress visually, your motivation naturally increases. Whether it is marking a calendar, writing in a journal, or using a simple checklist, tracking helps you stay aware of your consistency. It becomes harder to break a chain of success once you see it growing day after day. This simple habit creates a sense of responsibility and pride in your actions. It reminds you that every small step matters. However, no matter how disciplined you are, setbacks will happen. There will be days when you feel tired, distracted, or unmotivated. You might miss a task or fall behind on your routine. This is completely normal. The important thing is not to let one bad day turn into a complete stop. Many people give up because they think a setback means failure. But in reality, setbacks are part of the process. What matters most is how quickly you return to your habit. When a setback happens, the best response is to restart immediately, without guilt or overthinking. Do not wait for a perfect moment or a new week to begin again. Simply return to your routine as soon as possible. The faster you recover, the stronger your habit becomes. Each time you restart, you prove to yourself that you are committed, not perfect. This mindset builds resilience and long-term discipline. The main lesson of this chapter is simple but powerful: consistency is built through repetition, awareness, and forgiveness. By rewarding progress, tracking your actions, and recovering quickly from setbacks, you transform effort into habit. Over time, what once required discipline becomes something natural. Achievement is no longer a struggle, it becomes part of your daily life. The main message of this book is simple and powerful: success does not depend on waiting for motivation or the perfect moment. Instead, it depends on understanding how your mind works and learning how to guide it toward action. Many people spend their lives waiting to feel ready, but real progress begins when you decide to act even without that feeling. Once you understand this truth, everything starts to change. When you learn how to begin, even with the smallest step, you take control away from procrastination. The mind often resists big efforts, but it responds much more easily to small, simple actions. That is why starting is always the most important part. A small beginning can lead to real momentum, and momentum makes the next step easier. Building small habits is another key to lasting change. You do not need dramatic transformation to improve your life. Instead, you need consistent, simple actions repeated every day. These small habits may seem unimportant at first, but over time they shape your behavior, your mindset, and your results. What you do daily becomes who you are. One of the most important lessons is that discipline does not require constant motivation. Even on days when you feel tired or unmotivated, continuing in a small way keeps your progress alive. The goal is not perfection, but consistency. Every time you choose action instead of delay, you strengthen your ability to control your behavior. As you apply these ideas, you begin to realize that change is not as difficult as it once seemed. The mind becomes easier to guide, and starting becomes less of a struggle. What once felt hard slowly becomes part of your normal routine. Over time, discipline stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like a natural part of your life. The real transformation does not come from one big decision. It comes from a small action repeated every single day. A single step may seem insignificant, but when it is repeated consistently, it builds a completely different future. That is how real change happens: quietly, gradually, and powerfully.